Scripts would become very unwieldy pretty quick if we had to do an if statement for every possible condition. Therefore, there are some shortcuts, a way of combining if statements if you like. First, we have the extension of the if statement with else. In English, the statement would be, if this, then execute this, or else execute this. So if your conditional statement is true, it will execute the first line of code. If it's false, it'll execute the else block of code. There are a couple of ways to write an if-else statement. The first is a single line statement. This is done without curly brackets, and only one line of code is executed for the condition, and one line for the else. If you want to execute multiple lines of code, you need to enclose the if and else code results within curly brackets, as we have in example 2 here. It's actually good practice to always enclose conditional results within curly brackets to make your code easily readable. As well as the if-else statement, there is the else-if statement. This is like combining multiple if statements within one. You can have an unlimited number of else-if statements off of one if statement. The spoken translation would be, if this is true, then execute this, or else, if this is true, execute this, or else, if this is true, execute this, or else, execute this if it's false. Now, you don't always have to include the else. We could finish this here and not have an else. But generally, you do want some code executed if all of the conditionals return false. Here's some examples of the else if. If that's true, return this, or else, if this is true, return this, or else, return this. Using all these different if statements, you suddenly have control over what parts of your script are executed. You now have what is called flow control over your scripts. You can execute your code dynamically, according to calculations, or according to user input. Now you can also put if statements within if statements. This is called nesting. Nesting is used mostly within looping, which we're coming to, but is a general term to cover conditional statements within conditional statements, as we have in this example. This is also a good example of why we use tabbing to make the code look neater. If we did not tab out this code, it would be hard to tell what statement belonged to what condition, and if there were a bug here, it would be extremely difficult to figure out what should be happening.